Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Geeky Pod with Manas. So in this episode we have a very good friend of mine from college, Mr. Nirupam Chakrabarti. We have started our career together from the same company. Now in our career path we have moved to different organizations. Now he's working as a project management lead in one of the leading company in India. So other than that, he has a keen interest on startups. He has keen interest on work-life balance. He is a advocate of mental health, and so all this we have had a discussion in this session. So that we are going to put it forward in front of you. So keep watching the podcast and like, share, and subscribe to this channel if you like the content. Thank you and enjoy the podcast. Maybe at this moment you want to change the playback speed to 1.5x. So go ahead and make it 1.5x and enjoy the podcast. Thank you. Hi Nirupam. Welcome to the Geeky Pod with Manas. Thanks for
Manas,
joining.
thanks for inviting. I mean, it's glad to be a part of here. And
Sure,
first and foremost, happy New Year to all your viewers and audience. Like, I hope
thank you.
It's not a repeat of 2022 any further. So
yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll start our discussion today. So
Sure.
first of all, you tell me what are you up to now? In your career wise, maybe without naming the company, obviously.
Okay. If you ask me what I do right now, I've recently kind of moved to a mid management or a lower management role. And the journey was like as it is for in most of the cases. Start with being a software developer, then move to senior developers, bit of uh, smell of leads and architects, and then into management with people management, tech management, and all of these things. In between, I had a span where I had chosen to be very close to the testing team also. So it's not only the development path. I chose to be part of the QA part also, so that and it was kind of a planned because I knew someday in over a period of time, maybe in management roles, or when you take control of a lot of things, when you are needed to take decisions, knowing the nuances of them actually helps. So it was a short stint where I also tried to work as along with the QA part or the testing side of the SDLC or SDLC.
Understood. So right now you're in. You have shifted to Chennai, Bangalore, or Mumbai. Where exactly?
Presently, I'm in Bangalore.
Okay. So you're in Silicon Valley mostly. Okay.
I wish, yeah.
Okay. So if I ask you, from this time you started your career after college, right? So you have started as a developer. So from then till now, if someone you have to introduce yourself to the market, like you're a full stack developer, backend developer, or front end, how will you identify yourself?
First of all, it's a good question. I think we have misused the term full stack in the across the industry grossly, actually. So to answer your first part, how would I kind of introduce myself? I'll say I am a kind of a backend major with a front end minor. Right, as I told him. I majorly worked on the backend. So rarely I had to work with front end, but I understand the nitty-gritties of front end, the architectures of front end. Over a period of time, I tried to kind of learn also how front end frameworks work, what is expected out of them, right? How do the contracts, how do the storage, how do the client side mechanisms, whatever. There are a lot of things. So again, I'll say as a backend major and front end minor, because see. If you ask me what full stack is, I'll say full stack engineer rather is someone, right, who understands the backend part, understands the front end part. It's not only writing code; it's also understanding how and where do you optimize the code, how and where you design the system in which mechanism, and all of these things. So I mean, mostly that is what is expected out of a full stack engineer. You can be a full stack developer where you can actually develop code either in, and nowadays frameworks like Node.js and a lot of JS based systems actually you can write the same code over here and there also. You can be a full stack developer, but to become a full stack engineer, you need to know all of those things. A bit of DevOps infra in both the parts. How do you actually deploy your system, how do you make sure your system is scalable, it is running, and all of these things. So I don't know a lot of these things on the front end side, and that's why I call myself a backend measure
Yeah.
with
Right.
some knowledge of the front end. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you see in the industry right now, so the full stack term is being misused, right? The people want Shaktiman to be there in terms of development. Okay, who is Shaktiman in backend, Shaktiman in front end? Finally, like wholesome, he's the whole the company. So why do you think this trend has come? Because when we started, it was not there, but maybe with advent of
Uh,
technology, it has come up.
I'll not say this has come totally, but yeah, I mean, if you look, so different organizations, different companies, right, at different stages in their journey or in their growth, need different set of people, different set of skill sets from everyone. Like if you talk about a company, or let's take an example of a very nascent startup, right, who just needs its MVP to be established to probably
Mhm.
showcase that, okay, I need the kind of I need to show my investors that, this is my MVP, people are liking it, this is how it works, etc., etc. This is the prototype and all of these things. So for this company to afford a fully backend developer or engineer and a fully these things, I mean, it's not also affordability. It's also rather is it required. I don't think that's required at this point in time for a company also, right?
Hmm.
So at that point in time, what is required is to write some code in the backend, to write, because anyway you are not going to scale it, you are not going to do anything out of it, right? In right time there would be people to take care of all these things.
Right.
uh, and I think this as a trend started to follow with all companies, where people think, okay, I have a developer with me who knows only backend, then why don't I have someone who also knows front end to some extent? But what I have seen, it's very difficult to get a full stack engineer, because everywhere wherever I've seen people, I mean, with all due respect to all of them, right? I mean, I've the 90% of the cases where I have seen, they are either, I mean, they are lenient to some of
Uh-huh.
the cases. Either they are backend heavy or they are front end heavy, and the know the other part, just to manage how, in case if it is
Correct.
needed, so how do we do, and kind of all of these things.
Right.
So to answer your question, why companies need is probably because I'm not sure where from you are asking this, but if it is from the early stage companies, it's because they need it this way.
Mhm.
In mature stage companies, also people wanted to probably, if I have it in my plate, why don't I
Right.
actually take it, right? It's a win-win for both,
Correct.
right? So that was the thing, but I think I've seen across, like, people are all still looking for people who are uh, masters in either. I mean, rather
Mhm.
than claiming them masters of both, or kind of, I know both. It's always better if you know both. You can strike out a balance. You can figure out what needs to be done where. But the mastery is expected from either side. Actually, I'll
I
say,
understand.
like,
Got it. It's like someone who is jack of all trades. If it is there, then it's good for the company. Right. That's
yeah, because you understand the things, you understand, and in worst case scenario, you can actually roll your sleeves up and you get down. So that's the added advantage. Yeah.
right. Yeah. Okay. So now I believe like in our career span, like we have uh, attended some interviews. Like you also have gone through a lot of interviews in. So how do you prepare yourself mentally? Not I'm not talking about technically, like mentally, like when you go for something. So first time, like you'll have some anticipation. What question they'll ask, like how they're going to judge me or evaluate me. So keeping that into mind, how do you go for it? Like, yeah.
Uh, I think over a period of time, and the preparations, the way of approaching an interview, like how I especially handled all of these things, have also evolved and matured.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the early days when I used to go to the interviews, right? I was also very kind of nervous about what questions they're going to ask. What if I cannot answer them? What if I don't know anything? And then there have been cases, right, where I was kind of out of nowhere the question was came, and I kind of collapsed. I didn't have any answer. I tried to be very honest upfront. I told that I don't know it. People accepted it. At times, people told, these are the bare minimums. You should know it.
yeah.
With time now, I don't think there is something. There is anything that is required mentally. All I need is, okay, this is the time when I'm going to give the interview. I just hope that there is no uh, external disturbances, something going down in production, or an outage happening in my office, the people start calling me up and all of these things.
Okay.
I just hope these things don't happen. Other than that, I don't think so. There is nothing I do have to actually prepare. It's
Okay.
more
Great.
importantly you focus on what the round is all about. You basically you kind of frame your mindset. So if
Mm-hmm.
it is a design round, then you kind of brush up your technical skills like design skills. What are the new trends coming up?
Mm-hmm.
What design suits where? Kind of all of these things. And if it is a problem solving round, you try to figure out, okay, like, okay, it's a problem solving round. I need to solve the problem first. So you kind of uh, create or make that mindset ready, and then there you go actually. Yeah,
Okay.
but
All right.
early days, it was
No,
kind
it's
of,
like
yeah.
practice made perfection, right? So.
There's nothing to perfect, and also over a period of time, right? Now I enjoy giving those interviews where I can actually answer, let's say, 70 to 75% of the questions, and remaining 25 to 30% of the questions are unknown to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's where I also aspire to be in certain system, or along with certain companies, right? Where I do I'm at a place where I don't know everything,
Hmm.
right? Because that's what also is the challenge. And I think over a period of time I've understood that this is actually what is needed.
Correct.
So it's
Yeah.
okay
People.
not
Yeah. Yeah. People
it's
don't
okay
want
not to
someone
know everything.
who is know it all, like someone says. This
Yeah,
should be.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that's something which I've grown, or kind of made myself understand over a period of time,
Right.
and I think that helps
Great, great. So yeah, so in that same journey, you had some rejections also, I believe. Everyone has. So
a lot.
how do
Yeah.
you? So how do you handle that rejection? Like you get upset, and that entire day you are upset. Why I couldn't crack it, or something, like you motivate yourself. No, I'll go and sit for the next one, and I'll crack it. I'll give my best, like that. So because
Okay.
it breaks you
So
sometimes when you have expectation and it doesn't come up.
absolutely. It
Yeah.
does, it does. So there is always a short term and long term part of it, right?
Yeah.
And also the motivation behind why you are going to interview. So I mean, one thing to confess here would be, like, I've given a lot of interviews just like that, just to
Mm-hmm.
be
Okay.
aware of what is going on, how
Uh-huh.
does the dynamics actually change, right? Because when you are within a certain organization, you are working with certain set of things, you don't actually get to know what is going on outside.
Mm-hmm.
So giving those just like that interviews, I was kind of also knowing, okay, what is going on, what are the other things, what do people expect out of a certain role where I am probably, where I aspire to be probably, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But again, also having said that, there were interviews where I had given all, I mean, the best of my efforts, and I couldn't actually crack. So
Mm-hmm.
in the short term, it gives you a pain. Yeah, sure. At times it's heartbreaking also. Like I can tell a few companies' name. I'd rather not right now, maybe, because
Yeah.
but there were certain organizations where, after completing a lot of rounds, let's say 4 5 round, in the last 6 round, or in the penultimate round, I kind of I couldn't make it.
Mm-hmm.
It was not because of something that probably I didn't know. It was not because, I mean, at times you also have to realize that, that in that particular moment your brain didn't function, as simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so in long term, when you in retrospect, you find to figure out what exactly happened. Did I not know this? Did I, or it was that I couldn't, I knew this but I couldn't explain.
Mm-hmm.
In either of the scenarios, you try to figure out if there is anything that needs to be rectified or corrected within yourself. You do it, or else, let it go, as simple as that. Because not every day is yours, and not every company
Correct.
is, kind of, I mean, like, you cannot do it. It's very uh, cracking an interview or getting accepted in an interview is not uh, a boolean thing, actually. That's what
Mm-hmm.
I have observed. Right. And just because you couldn't crack 3 rounds, and or 3 companies, same round in 3 different companies, and you are able to crack the fourth one, doesn't ensure that your conclusion about what went wrong in the other three and what went right in the fourth will also be true. So it's
Mm-hmm.
better not to kind of go and grind. You try to, I try to personally figure out, okay, was there any question, was there anything which I did gross, or was it absolutely wrong? If there is anything that I could learn out of it, take the learnings, move on. That's how it
Okay.
is.
Great. Great. Understood. So, as you mentioned in your introduction that you are currently taking up management roles. So, as you grow higher in position, right? So it brings a lot of stress, anxiety, and work pressure, obviously. So, how do you think like this disturbs the work-life balance, or that pressure that comes up with the position? How to handle those positions, stress in those positions, and all? How do you prepare yourself?
Uh, well, stress management, work-life balance, etc. These I feel have become very much marketing words right now these days, right? Companies you will see in their JDs will put, we have flexible work culture.
Correct.
We provide work-life balance as a part of your job, etc., etc., etc. But honestly saying, uh, stress is something that see, there are circumstances where you are disturbed for sure.
Mm-hmm.
There are uncomfortable situations which you have to go through. It's a part of the job. It's a part of the journey.
Mm-hmm.
Irrespective of whether you are in the management or you are as an IC or in a kind of a founder role or whatever you are
Mm-hmm.
doing. I think that's a part of the journey.
Mm-hmm.
The day you sign up, the day you join a company, you are signing up for the journey, and you should be ready to. I'm personally ready to kind of go through whatever it comes,
Mm-hmm.
right? And work life balance, if you look at it, that yeah, I couldn't sign up, I couldn't shut down my laptop or system at maybe 8:39 in the evening, then my work life balance is gone. Then I think like I'll be crying forever. So it's also the job of the individual to figure out how to strike the balance.
Right.
uh,
Right.
I mean you should be, and if you think that you are not honest to it, if you think that you are actually not you are actually worried about whether your organization is not going to support you on this, you need a day off, you need some time off, and you think that, okay, how do I go and present this scenario to my whatever reporting manager or the company or the team? Then sorry, you are in the wrong place, right? So, but generally speaking, people understand all of these things. If you start taking care of yourself, you know what needs to be done when you can strike the balance. Because I've worked with companies which are at the very budding stage.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen like how it goes there. I've worked with companies which are very established, which plan for 6 months and then they do the work, right? So again, it's these are, I feel these are too much marketing words right now. You do what is required for you to do, and carry on with that. You'll eventually you'll figure out. Eventually you'll figure out, and the more you push yourself beyond your limits, the more you are actually going to disturb your own work-life balance. It's not because of the company; it's also something because of what you do. What are your traits within yourself?
Mm-hmm.
If you are very comfortable at your comfort zone,
Mm-hmm.
then there is always a work-life balance. But if you always want to do something more, if you want to learn something more, then you are always pushing yourself also from internal. Nobody is expecting you to do that, but you are doing it.
Hmm.
So,
So
I mean, you
everything
figure
is in
out
our
your own
control
path.
only. Yeah.
Not
Yeah. How
everything,
we.
but there are certain things. That's what I told, right? I mean, there are certain things, certain uncomfortable situations, disruptions, disappointments, everything. It's a part of the journey. I mean, you cannot
Mm-hmm.
deny that part. It's the ride that you signed up for, and you have to take the ride and experience it. That's what I'll say. I mean, situations which are beyond my control, I don't actually focus on them. Rather, I focus on what I can do.
Okay.
So if
Right.
I'm doing my job, I mean, let the others do their job, right? Why do I kind of worry about something that I
Correct.
cannot control?
Right. Right. I totally get it. Yeah. So you mentioned that you have worked with some budding startups or who are at the nascent stage of their first rounds of fundings and all something. So when you join certain startups, so it definitely brings a lot of workload because the first MVP is yet to come, and maybe prototype is yet to be showcased to the investors and all. So how is the work pressure there, like at a given point of time, like?
Again, I mean, do you take it as a pressure or a challenge is again up to yourself, right? I
Right.
mean, I
Okay.
so when I'm where I know a thing that as a startup, when you are joining a startup, it's not going to be a family, right? It's going to be
Mm-hmm.
a team.
Hmm.
And when I say family versus team, in a family, there could be someone who is not performing, who is not doing great, at least in Indian context. I'm not going to the
Mhm.
westernized
Yeah,
context here,
get it.
right? So we stand for each other, we try to cover each other, etc., etc. But if you talk about a team, right, it's a
Mhm.
team that everyone has their own role, right?
Hmm.
Everyone has his or her own role to play.
Hmm.
And the moment I am joining a startup, I actually sign up for that, right? I'm very clear about. So there are certain things which I ensure before I join a startup. What
Mhm.
exactly I'm going to do, right? Why is this particular position required at this point in time? What are the expectations? So out of all these discussions with lot of the stakeholders and like during the interview process and all of these things, I think I get a fair sense of what is expected. And in startup, something is very much non-negotiable is the pace. So the
Hmm.
pace at which you have to do, the pace at which you have to deliver is actually tremendous. I mean, like that's what makes the difference in first place. So it's a
Mhm.
known thing for me. I'm joining a startup which has nothing to do. It has dreamt of something, and I'm going to live a dream of the company. Actually, right? I'm
You're
going to be
part
a
of the
part of
dream.
that. I'm
Yes.
a part of that dream. So unless and until I am very sure that this dream is gonna be achievable, right? I don't sign up for it. So
Correct.
there have been startups I've given interviews at times. I've been reached out for. So few of them I thought, okay, let me explore. Is it actually when I'm dicey about it, right?
Mhm.
Let me explore. Let me go and talk to them, understand what they want to build, and etc. etc. So once you are very much convinced that yeah, this business model or this startup is going to work, you sign up for it. The moment you sign up for it, you are a part of the team. You are a part of again the dream that the company is dreaming. So you have to give your part actually. But yeah, I mean the pace is tremendous along with pace. So if you take it as a stress, because you know that I don't take it as a stress, because I know that since the pace is more, and if I push myself, I'll be able to deliver
Mhm.
more. So the list is going to be longer. Just by looking at the list, which is longer than as compared to other companies, I don't want to like kind of stress, because I've seen people coming at 11:30, closing their day by 4, and they're also doing everything fine, right? Within startups, those budding startups.
Oh,
But
okay. It's
it
how you manage your
also,
work, the
yeah,
given
also
work.
depends on where you push yourself actually. So
Mhm.
if you leave at 4:30, you go. I mean, you go, you hang out here and there. 7:30, you again sign up. You work for another 2 hours up to 9:30. You're done. So also I've seen days of where you start 9 a.m. in the morning and probably uh, sign off, sign
Next day
out at
9 a.m.
7 a.m. next day, 4 p.m. next day, right? Like
Correct.
migrations going on, you cannot actually move out. Architectures are getting broken down.
Uh-huh.
So you have taken 2 days of business off time, right? That time no business is running. So you have to ensure that your system is up and running within that time frame, etc. So
Right,
it's
right.
all a part of the journey.
It actually gives a great perspective that you put in here, right? So people normally think like startups means wow, work pressure. With the mentality that you go and add to that startup, that's what matters. Like you have known and then signed up and then started working on it. So thinking work pressure is out of the question in that case.
Also, the other part of the story, right? I mean, once you are putting your extra time, let's say you are putting longer hours, you are giving all
Mm-hmm.
of these things, extra these things. But look at the operating canvas you are operating on, right? I mean, it's you can jump into any discussion, be it with business, be it with product, be it with founders, be it with whosoever. So there is nobody actually who carries an identity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, once you are out of that journey, and in retrospect, you figure out how much I have actually learned and gathered, what
Mm-hmm.
all different views I've actually got, how long it would have been taken. So there's a famous saying in startups: you actually compress your works 4x. So what would
Uh-huh.
you generally would have done in 4 years, so try to do it in 1 year.
One.
So I was part of one such startup where the founder used to say you compress your 10 years work into 1 year. All
Okay.
right. So that is where the motivation comes from, right? If you see the
Uh-huh.
founder talking about this day in, day out, I mean, and you have signed up for the success of this company, so you automatically give all yours.
Correct. Yeah. So having said all this, now we are talking about stress, we are talking about mental pressure and all, right? So you will see the discussion around in social media or in around us. So it's mostly about mental health, stress, and there are various startups as well as apps coming up which helps you in doing meditation and all recreational activities. So how much do you think that that is actually required? Because this 21st century is bringing a lot of mental pressure, where people are even taking the extreme step of taking their own lives. uh, so it can be because of various reasons, because of humiliation, because of work pressure, because a lot of other things. So how relevant it is, do you think, in terms of IT sector, where people are into places where they should not be, and how it's impacting their mental health?
Okay. So it's again a very sensitive topic. It's a very good question, I must say. Mental health and all of these things. There are apps which are trying to help you retain your mental health, maybe keep it up, maybe keep you grow in your mental health and all of these things. But while this is sad that people are taking up their lives and doing a lot of taking a lot of fearless steps, maybe a lot of attempts are being made to harm themselves. This is sad, number one. But also, see, there is no mental health is important. Now there
Hmm,
is no one size fit all formula for mental health.
totally.
What gives peace to you may be very less. I mean, I myself may get into a very restless condition by following the same path, right?
Hmm,
So as I told, I mean, I've been repeating it again, so you have to figure out how do you take care of yourself.
hmm,
You have to figure out a place where you can actually convey these things. You have to figure out a place where there is a cushion of doing mistakes, where there is a
hmm,
cushion of going up and say, boss, dude, I'm not in today, I don't feel like working today, I need rest.
hmm,
Right, the team you are working with, the organization you are working with, they have to take care of your absence, they have to take care of your such things, right? And it's see, it's a culture that you build within your organizations, within every places. So it's very important that we understand mental health is important. It is required that everybody is actually mentally also they are healthy, and
correct.
that's why you take those leaves, you rejuvenate, you come back, you take, I mean, like, you take day offs, time offs, whatever you call it, right? Because you try to spend time with your family, friends, however you like, basically. Because it refreshes you, it freshens up your thoughts. If you
Hmm,
are energized, then you can actually work better.
correct.
So taking care of mental health is very much required. Also, on the other part, right, there is uh, at least in our country, or like those third world countries, or like, let's say, the developing countries, right?
No, we are
People
the
do
first
not
one.
act.
They are the third one, I believe.
I wish, but the way
Yeah.
we are actually trying to portray ourselves as a first world is also threatening to me. So let's not get into that.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So
Sorry.
yeah, coming back to it, right? Uh, People don't, either they don't understand or they don't respect consent, data privacy, all of these things.
Hmm,
You see in lot of developed nations in across the globe, right?
hmm,
Any developed nations.
hmm,
So you are not being a theme of a meme.
hmm,
You are not being bullied like just like that in social media,
hmm.
right? So here we are actually doing all sort of, I'll say nonsense. Sorry for my word, but all sort of nonsense here, which essentially is also, so think about the person who is getting bullied like this. He
Hmm.
also has a life to live, right? He also has a
Hmm.
family to show up his face in front of. So these
Correct.
all things. So what, with internet being so easily accessible and all of these things, now we are talking about an internet revolution altogether, right? 4G and 5G is knocking at the door, right? The availability of all of these things. So we have also have to understand that everyone has their own life. We cannot just intrude into anyone's personal space. Let's not kind of do all of these things, because it, at the end of the day, it also creates a tremendous pressure on the person. So he or she may already have a bad day at work, which is very much normal. Coming back at home, he sees that he is being bullied because he just had told something, he had a bad day, or some of his
He might have posted some
known
meme because of that he's being bullied.
known faces have started bullying himself, portraying
Mm-hmm.
himself as something wrong altogether.
Mm-hmm.
So these things add up to all of these things. So let's not do all of these things. Let's understand this is required. So yeah, I think with time we'll also improve. But it's sad
Hopefully.
that we are doing this without knowing all of the consequences.
I understand. I get it totally, the point that you're trying to portray here. Yeah. So now coming back from all this sad part, right? So let's say there is a ecosystem right now in the country which is for startups, right? So when we were in college, it was more of stand-up comedians. Then it came YouTubers. Then it came TikTokers, sadly, which is banned now. I'm very happy. Then now it's coming for startups from last 3 or 4 years, right? So we are seeing a boom of startups. There are 100 plus unicorns now right now in India, but all these are silver linings. If I see the back end of this entire story, there are equally same number of startups getting shut down every day, almost. So having said all this, what is going correct and what is going wrong as per you? That there is a success story, there is a failure story also.
There is nothing right or wrong as to say here, because I don't term anything as right or wrong like this. See, every company which we know about, right? I mean, is which we know about today and which we do not call a startup has also been a startup in some point in that time.
Correct.
But the difference, which I can see, right, why companies are so much into the rat race now, why people are so much of, I mean, as you told, right, it used to be stand-up comedians, then TikTokers, and then all of these things, right, the YouTubes, and then now creating a startup. See, over a past decade or so, right, India, there have been two, three good startups which have come out of India, which they have established themselves. If you
Right.
look back then, there were also, if not tens, maybe hundreds of startups which equally could not establish themselves, because it was not easy back then to get a funding,
Mm-hmm.
to get into the growth. The VCs also back then were not that bullish. They didn't
Hmm.
want to invest into a company which gives me return in 3 years.
Hmm.
While getting money has become a bit easier,
Mm-hmm.
which is the good part. Uh, Also, the startup ecosystem. I mean, having those two, three startups, established startups in India, has given the faith that it's also possible out of India, maybe within the Indian territory, from within the Indian territory, right? To get investments from outside, people are actually interested in investing in Indian
Hmm.
startups and all of these things. This is a good part of it.
Right.
But then you have to establish yourself, because and what problem you are going to solve. Everybody claims that they are trying to solve a problem. Now, is it really a problem is also something that you have to understand,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
So
if they are,
basically, people should not go for a startup because they're having fear of missing out. They are also not part of
yeah,
it.
it
FOMO
doesn't it
should.
doesn't it doesn't it doesn't work out like that, right? I mean, one of
Okay.
my senior leaders, just like that, we were also having a similar discussion. He told it, people are now thinking like, it's like it's a baby. Everyone has a baby, so I also
Uh-huh.
need a baby, so I go for a startup. So it's not the way how it functions, right? So if you are, so see, despite all those failures, there are good number of things that you told, right? The unicorns. So let's not go about the unicorns. Also, there are a lot of other companies, right, which are about to be a unicorn or maybe will become a unicorn at some point in time. They are also doing good in the startup ecosystem. While in one side of the story, right, we see that there are a lot of companies which are not able to show up, which are not able to successfully sustain themselves and grow eventually, and they shut down their operations or business. But there are also other companies which have actually successfully have kind of become unicorns. There are a lot of companies which are about to be a unicorn. So it depends on a lot of things. So Jeffrey Rapport, right? So is a very profound professor. He tells it in a very different way. He always says that that there are a lot of reasons for a startup to fail. So every startup starts with a business problem,
Mm-hmm.
and in the initial stage they want to get users into it. They start getting user attractions and all of these things, and there
Mm-hmm.
is always a phase in the journey of a startup where when it wants to grow. Now while growing, there are two things. One could be you just grow by, while you are growing, your operation expenses, your all other technology costs and every marketing expenses and everything is actually shooting.
Mm-hmm.
The money you are making versus the money you are actually kind of
Burning
spending,
out.
right?
Uh-huh.
Burning out law. I mean, yeah, I mean, it could be a burnout. I just don't want to call it a burnout right at the very beginning. It's an
Uh-huh.
expense. So the money
Expense,
you are
yeah.
spending versus the money you are growing. So over a period of time, if you are not actually able to figure a market fit, not only for your product but also for your profit. So again, Jeffrey report quoting him, it's a profit market fit that
Mm-hmm.
you have to hit that point in your journey. So there are a lot of ways of doing that. I mean, in few years down the line, in every few years, you kind of figure out if you are doing, is your line of business doing, getting enough money? Is there enough headroom for you to grow? Right? There have been companies which have failed because they were actually doing great, but the segment of users they have chosen, right, uh, is not, so there is no much of an headroom for them to grow. By the
Mm-hmm.
time you realize, it's too late. There are other players into the market who have actually capitalized on the other side, maybe of the story and all of these things. So it will always be there. You kind of you start, and then either you grow, and along with your growth, you have to figure out a sustainable business model also that gives you money, because at the end of the day, without money, you are not going to survive, right? So either you have
Correct.
to either you have to explore your economics, and in later point in time, you have to exploit the economics.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not able to do, you are going to die for sure. So that is something I think, this will always be there. So what I was talking to with the very beginning of the conversation of this context, right,
Mm-hmm.
that all the companies which we know about today were also startups, right? We have seen a lot of pictures going viral in the internet of how Amazon had started one fine day.
Mm-hmm.
We know how our Indian Flipkart has actually started, right? It started just by selling books online and all of these things, right? So
Take
with
AWS in that case. In 2006, no one thought that AWS could be a game changer, but now it's the biggest game changer right now in the market.
Yeah, think about Spotify. There was always, I
Ah,
think, SoundCloud.
yes.
If the name I can correct. So what they had do, I mean, what they had done was, right. So Spotify is focusing on the consumers of the music or the sound,
Mm-hmm.
wherein SoundCloud was on the other hand, right. They made the platform for the producers of music,
Mm.
right. So there were almost around 300,000 musicians were subscribing for their platform and all of these things. But by the time they realize that actually this market is going to be kind of static at some point in time, and the consumer market, which is going to be in billions,
Mm.
is going to grow. I mean, there is like
Game changed, the market changed in the point.
the market changed. But yeah, you look at the King Entertainment, right? I mean, the King, I mean, I'm not sure if I kind of named the company correctly, but basically the company which makes Candy Crush Saga and all of these things,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So they have changed their model so many times. They have changed, I mean, and they are like a dominant player in the market right now, right?
Right, right.
So it's also very important that you reinvent yourself over the journey. You figure out which business, where from you are going to gain money. Because at some point in time, irrespective of whether you are a startup or you are a uh, old company, you are a matured company, or wherever, right? Or you are kind of a dying company. You have to figure out a point where you can self fuel yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
there has to be a part of in your business which gives you enough revenue, which can take care of your wants in other segments and all of these things.
Hmm. Okay. Please check out the previous videos from this channel here and like, share, and subscribe if you like the content. Thank you.